Hello, my name is Joel Derge, and I am the former head football coach at Tippecanoe High School and currently an assistant there. And my topic today is preparing for a rivalry game. I feel like it's a topic that's probably not been discussed yet, and I'm looking forward to doing it talking about it with you guys. It's certainly important to prepare for your rivalry games differently than you would for any other opponent, and especially if you have that rivalry game early in the season to set the tone for the season. Last time I did this, I forgot a few people to say thank you to. For those people that have helped me in my career. Matt Johnson's a guy who hired me and helped me out when I was at Greenon, and I actually got a chance to work with him at Tippecanoe, and he kind of followed me there. And he's been a big inspiration for me. Rich Clark, he calls me Mini-Me. He's a PE teacher, led me to want to be a PE teacher and a football coach, and has taught me a lot about the defensive side of the football. And then Matt Burbacher, who's hired me on as an assistant coach at Tippecanoe to help with the defensive side of the ball. Again, today my topic is going to be about preparing for a rivalry game, and it's real important that you treat these games slightly differently than you do any other game. And I think that it's also important to understand the preparation that needs to take place in February, March, or any of the months, especially in the time we have now, while it's silent and nobody's watching. You can get yourself ready for Friday nights when hopefully those roll around. I know coaches are listening from other states and things like that. I don't really want to bore anybody with the history of Tippecanoe versus Shawnee, but quickly just want to talk about how we in 2016 approached this rivalry game and how we treated it ever since. They had beaten us 5 of the last 7 years, and we had played them in Week 10 when both teams were 9-0 once before. They moved up on our schedule to Week 6, and then eventually we moved conferences, and we didn't play them as a conference opponent anymore, and it got moved up to Week 2. We wanted to keep that rivalry going. Our kids loved the game. Their kids loved the game. And it was important that we treated this game differently because it was so early in the season, we wanted to set the tone for the season, as I mentioned. 4 things I want to kind of talk about is I learned these kinds of things from going to spring practices. I noticed that college football teams were always preparing for rivalry games in spring. Obviously, Ohio State's preparing for that team up north. I went to Ball State's practice, and they were preparing for their rivalry game, and it kind of sparked my interest to do the same thing. You want to educate your players on the rivalry, not just it's just a game, but you want to emphasize it. And so some of the ways we did that is we had Shawnee days in the weight room in the spring. When you're lifting weights in March, April, and May in a regular school year, sometimes those months can get really grueling. And so every Thursday or every Wednesday, whatever we felt like that year, we would have special workouts to go that +1 or that +2 and just give a little bit extra effort for that day. And our kids really responded to it. And then prep in the off season, as coaches, we met all the time in February, March, and the next months of April and May. And if we spent 60 minutes at a coaches meeting, I'd always want to spend, the last 10 minutes of the meeting watching film of our rivalry game the year before and talking about how we can better prepare for them the next season. So I not only sold that to my assistant coaches, but obviously during the season, we sold it to our players as well. Throughout two-a-days and camp days, we spent 10 to 15 minutes every single day on our rivalry game by just doing team most of the time. Sometimes it was just front 7, or sometimes it was just the passing game. But we always spent some time, and we called it Shawnee time. Through the course of that, we eventually ended up playing them in a Thursday night light game where we only had 3 practices to prepare for them. And they're a team that's very diversified. They run the RPOs, they run the run game really well, they run the gap schemes, the zone schemes, and if your numbers in the box are heavy, they're gonna throw the bubble screen out there. So they do a great job, and they use 25 to 30 formations a game, and we really wanted to make sure that we were ready for some of those formations. So we spent approximately 3.5 hours on 10-minute blocks on each practice, and that really paid off for us throughout the season. To go through that just a little bit more, in 2014, I was the offensive coordinator. and we lost a really tight game to them. We lost by 5 points. The next year, I got the opportunity to be the head football coach, and pretty much the exact score happened. We lost by a touchdown. They got that 2-point conversion, but they really dominated the football game, not only in the passing game and the rushing game. They beat us in that as well. In both of those games, we trailed by a touchdown and a half and just couldn't overcome what we needed to do in the second half. So as I mentioned, we had to go back to the drawing board in the offseason, going into that 2016 season, and how we were able to flip that score you see there to the score that you see there. Now, people can argue, hey, your team was better, their team got worse, little things like that. But I think we all know as coaches that we impact the game a lot. We do believe that players make plays and we give the balls to our best players, but we wouldn't be coaching if we didn't think we were making an impact. And we were able to flip the script going into that 2016 season and then winning that rivalry game the next 3 years. And today what I'm going to talk to you guys about is the preparation that took place to be able to be successful on Friday night or Thursday night in this circumstance. When I heard we were playing them week 2, I was excited because we could spend a little bit more time working on them in the summer. Obviously, when they're a week 10 opponent, there are no secrets and things like that, and you don't really want to focus on a week 10 opponent in July. I totally understand that. But when they moved up in our schedule, I thought there was some definite ideas that we could use going forward to treat this game a little bit differently. And then when we heard it was on Thursday night in like February, we really had to think about those things even more. So what I'm going to do today is talk to you guys about the preparation that took place from essentially camp days all the way to game day. This was one of our camp days where you see highlighted there on the bottom of your screen. And period 9 of the defensive section, we just spent Shawnee time versus 2 scout teams. On day 1, we just worried about the run plays. The front 7, the inside run, if you call it. They would defend the run plays while the defensive backs would work on, defending their formations and footwork drills and specific things for Shawnee. But I think those 10 minutes over the course of the 2-a-days and the camp days would really build up, and we get a lot out of it for our players. We had to make scripts in February and March and things like that at our meetings of plays we'd seen them run multiple years in the past, and we wanted to rep those plays when it came about there in June, July, and August. One of the things about our rivalry opponent is they gave us a lot of formations, as I mentioned. I know this is difficult to see if I kind of draw a line right there. Looking over here, the back is 2 trips. That equated something different in the box for us. And then on this side, the back was away from trips. So we tried to defend them 2 different ways on their 2 different formations. And that right there is 4 different things for our kids. So we really had to prepare for that early on. And then they gave us a bunch of special different exotic formations, if you will, where they get into a diamond formation over here. They put their best receiver over here. And those are things you don't see throughout the year. So spending that time in the middle of the summer preparing for that, I think really helped us out when we played them during the season throughout the years. Another 2-a-day schedule here. I think this was the 3rd 2-a-day. If you notice, we spent our 15-minute meeting before the 2-a-day, literally specifically just talking about our rivalry opponent. We talked about how we were going to defend those formations, and those go back to our coaches' meetings in the winter and in the spring. Every coach was on board with what we were going to do. Obviously, we didn't know their personnel as well as we wanted to yet, but we know how we wanted to defend a lot of their formations and a lot of their gap scheme run plays. So if you're going to have that meeting right before practice, we went out, we did agility and tackling and all those good things and the punt team, but we started that practice with the first team only repping plays against 2 scout groups. And I think that really helped. We didn't use first team all the time. We never dipped into our 3rd group or anything like that, but we definitely, throughout the season, we typically play 17 or 18 guys on the defensive side of the ball. And a lot of the times that's true for a single Friday night. And so we would sprinkle guys in, the 2s in with the 1s throughout the week and make sure that everybody got reps against some of the exotic formations and the things that they did. So as we zoom forward to basically game week of when we played them and once again in week 2. So on the left-hand side is their week 1 stats. Obviously, this is a Saturday morning as coaches. We're talking about the opponent for the next week. And then on the right here, as you see, was there, if it's a week 2 game, you don't have many stats. So you kind of want to look at the previous year. Quarterback-wise, the quarterback threw for 1,000 yards, and he almost rushed for 1,000 yards. So right then and there, the quarterback is the leading rusher and the leading passer. And then they used 2 different backs throughout the season as their tailbacks, and the same thing kind of held true for their week 1 game. So going into that game, we really, as coaches, we're going to talk about, hey, we got to defend the quarterback play really well. We got to stop their downhill run game between their 2 halfbacks that they use. And we got to make sure that we contain their quarterback because he's a very, very good player. And as we go through our Saturday meeting, obviously we're going to get the things that everybody gets from huddles, all their formations that they use, whether that back is 2 trips or away from trips, whether they're 2x2, whether they're pistol, whether they're empty, whether they're unbalanced. We want to talk about all those things on Saturday and just confirm that, hey, yep, we're going to defend them this way based off their personnel. We might not have done it exactly like that in July, but now it's game week, and we want to make sure that we're all on the same page. You also get that script that tells that they're, 70% run, 30% pass. Again, this is only 1 game, but it is important information that you have going into week 2. So a lot of that stuff is talked about on Saturday, of course. And then we really want to focus on, what plays do they call in the red zone? If you listened to me last time, I talked on Coach Bandstra's YouTube page. I'm a firm believer that games are won and lost in the red zone. And so you really want to study those situations. As you can see here on the left hash, a lot of those runs are to the right. And then on the right hash, a lot of those runs are to the left. And obviously those things need to be studied and put on your defensive call sheets and practiced. And, it's a good time to break those down on the weekend. One of the things I want to talk about now is something that I believe head coaches, coordinators, and if you're an assistant coach, you should want this from your superior, is something that what will the week look like for practice? For us, every single day we practice offense and defense. We split it up, essentially 50 minutes on each side of the ball, if you will. Some days are longer than others. As you know, Thursday's probably a little bit shorter. But, I think this is something that all coaches need to have. And then what I want to talk about just briefly is the team section, the bottom row, if you will, there. I did talk about this briefly in my last time with Coach Bandstra. I know he's going to attach that hyperlink at the end of this presentation. So if you think this goes well and you like to learn more, please click on that hyperlink. I think he does an amazing job. And I've learned a lot from his YouTube channel so far. But let's talk about Monday. Essentially on Monday, when we go to team offense, we're going to work on 1st and 10 run plays, or 1st and 10 plays, and 2nd and medium. We're going to work on our perimeter run plays because most of the times we don't have full gear on. On Tuesday, we're going to work a little bit more 3rd and medium, and we're going to work on straight drop passes and screens. A lot of coaches just work on every single play they have and every single day. We try to break it down per day. So that's kind of a 3rd down day, and we're going to work those straight drop passes and screens. On Monday, we work the belly passes and the waggles. Then on Wednesday, we work a little bit more 3rd and short time, and we work on some special plays that we have offensively, a reverse, a halfback pass. And again, the games are won and lost in the red zone. So we're going to go down to the red zone and the goal line. And then on Thursday, we will really focus on the whole field and get a rhythmic feel for the game, working on being backed up, the open field, the red zone, the 2-point play, and everything else you see there that I'll kind of talk about as we go. As a defensive coach, you obviously should do the same thing. What I want to kind of highlight in this section is essentially, let's look at, for example, the front 7 or the inside run period of the week. On Mondays, we're going to walk through their base 1st down run plays. Later in the season, we literally walk through them, like who's blocking you, to take some of the pads out of it, things like that. We also want to put our guys in tough situations. So, for example, we may slant or angle to the left when they run an outside sweep to the right. And we don't fit that run very well. And now obviously that's going to happen throughout the season. On Tuesday, if you look to Tuesday, we do difficult situations. So a difficult situation is, well, the offensive script is going to be very similar, but the defense should be different day to day. So a difficult situation to an outside sweep to our right would be a bare front or a gap front where our tackles are in the B gap rather than angling out to the C gap. That's going to happen. You're going to be in a 2nd and 3 and you think they're running inside and they're going to sweep you. Those things happen. So we want to put our guys in difficult situations. And then on Wednesdays, we're going to work those special plays. Again, they're boots, they're reverses, they're screens. And we're going to work on stunting into the plays. So say they're a zone read team, we're going to work on looping that backer behind the nose guard and having him get a feel for what that feels like and the timing of how you should time that up. Now, again, you don't want to tee off on your scout team all the time, but it's important that on Wednesday you're starting to blitz a little bit more and put yourselves in better situations. And I think that the defensive coordinator, the head coach, should provide something like this to their coaches so that they have an idea of what the week will look like. So as we kind of rewind backwards, let's take a look at how we attack game week. We know the game plan. Their quarterback's a really good runner. They use their halfbacks a lot. They got a good receiver. Okay, the basics of it. So on Monday, we typically work a lot of defensive film. We're going to watch their defensive film, their offense essentially, and we are going to show our kids, what the game plan is going to be. We're going to show them those stats, and we're really going to try and stop that quarterback play in this circumstance. The rest of the practice is what everybody does: individual, run unit, pass unit, and team. But let's pretend as I'm talking to you guys or whoever may be watching this, let's kind of pretend that I'm speaking to a film room of 17, 16-year-old kids, and we're watching film of our opponent on Monday. One of their top plays here is this trap where they pull the tackle, and the running back does a really good job of running downhill. If you notice, the running back essentially never has to cut too much. He keeps the ball in the hash. This is a gap scheme run, and we got to be prepared for gap scheme runs, especially on first down. So those are things that we're selling to the team. And you can see that the back is always falling forward, doing a great job of running downhill. They run the power read concept. Now, last year, they had moved a wide receiver to quarterback. Again, I'm talking to the team here, okay? And we didn't do a great job on the quarterback power read. Our defensive end last year flew up the field. He flew up the field. So we want to do a better job on the power read, and we want to make the quarterback give this ball to the edge. We want to make the quarterback give the ball to the edge. You see here, that's the defensive end. Quarterback's pulling the ball and running inside. Now, speaking to the team on Monday, how important it is that we don't allow that to happen, because that can be 6 points. We all know how explosive their quarterback is from playing him year to year. Now, this is a clip that they had from their week 1, the jet power read. Okay, you see their opponent here didn't do a very good job of squeezing down. The quarterback pulled it. And again, he doesn't make a lot of moves. He's just running a power scheme in the A gap. And again, he's falling forward. So as I'm speaking to the team on Monday, we got to make sure that we take the ball out of the quarterback's hands when he has a read. Okay, one of their top plays is the speed option. Once again, quarterback likes to keep the ball. He's an excellent athlete. You can see here his skill set. Last year when we played these guys, our defensive end did a great job of feathering the option, making sure that we took the ball out of the quarterback's hands, and then pitch and pursue. Did a really good job of that last year. We need that again for Friday night. And then as we go through this on Monday, we talk about their player strengths and weaknesses. The quarterback also does a great job of, if the flat is open, he takes it. You can't go broke taking a small profit. So he makes good decisions down the field. If you cover the deep, he'll throw the short. So we got to be ready for that Friday night. And then another thing we would kind of mention to them is their goal line package. This is their goal line package. They are left-handed heavy when they come into this package, so our front will be going that direction. And guys, we're gonna have a check against that this week. So we're gonna play a certain defense to that formation, and it will always be going this week and this week only to our right, their left, because this is their top play for years and years and years around the goal line. So those are the things we're kind of selling to the team on Monday. And then on Tuesday, we typically review. I kind of give the defensive coordinator 5 more minutes to review Monday's practice film of things that he liked or didn't like. Again, if he has 5 minutes, he should just find 5 clips or less. You know, we want to give the offensive coach at least 15 to 20 minutes to talk about their front and things that they do, because he didn't get film time on Monday. And most of that stuff that we do on the field on Monday offensively is a walkthrough anyway, so we don't really watch offensive film on Monday. We do film the offensive time on Tuesday, and we work on some of those short yardage runs that you kind of see here with my cursor. Short yardage runs are the things that we really want to work on throughout the run unit that we have. Okay, so that's our Tuesday practice. So then Tuesday's film would kind of look like this. You know, I'm going to go straight to the end zone shot to save time. But you see our number 2. This is our defensive end, outside linebacker. He's doing a great job of squeezing on the power read, making the ball go to the edge, not up the middle. And then now we're squeezing and chasing. Okay, now we need to do a better job of getting off the blocks on the perimeter. But we did take the ball out of their best players' hands. And that's, again, what we need Friday night. So you're selling this every single day to your players. Every single day to your players. Now, we don't have a quarterback that runs the 400-yard dash as quickly as that kid did. Hopefully you can laugh about this at home. Coach Bandstra are going to laugh about it right now probably. But there's big Coach Mike Derry. He's a 300-pounder playing quarterback, and it's difficult to simulate what they do. But here's a clip in practice of we have a tackle, number 72 right here. He's essentially on the out move, okay? And he's trying to keep his shoulder square and do what? He's trying to squeeze. He's trying to make that ball go to the edge. And that's exactly what we want. This is Monday's practice. Now watch the front side backer, number 6, okay? He's screaming over the top because he knows his buddy is going to squeeze. Now, Coach Derge needs to pull that ball because he didn't do a very good job, but that's the joke. So, again, we got the trap read. Okay, defensive end, if you're not screaming down the line of scrimmage, what should you be doing? You should be squeezing. Force this quarterback to give the ball. Force the quarterback to give the ball. 15 did a nice job of that there. I'd like to see 9 spike himself into that A-gap. Not worry about the quarterback so much because he knows his buddy has it. Okay? We want to defend the trap. Okay? So those are some film that we show to the kids right before practice on Tuesday. And then offensively, here's some film of practice offensively, and kind of remember this play because it shows up in the film later that I'll show you guys. We're working on those shifts and trades in our wing T offense. We get into ourselves doing to that 4-man unbalanced guard, tackle, tight end. There's also a wing over there. And we work those short yardage runs on Tuesdays because hopefully they're going to come up again on Fridays, or in this circumstance, Thursday. When Wednesday practice rolls around, Wednesday's a big red zone day. That's my big emphasis when I was the head coach, is we're going to spend a lot of time in the red zone. I know a lot of coaches just put the ball on the 40 and snap plays and run plays. You know, we never did that. We put the ball on hashes. We put the ball on the 20, the 17, and we worked running red zone plays. It's also a big third down day, and we want to make sure that we are executing all our third and longs, third and mediums, and third and shorts. There's a lot more situational football as the week goes on to our practices, and we want to keep it that way because it's been very successful for us. We're also going to work trick plays, as I mentioned, red zone and goal line offensively. Defensively, it's the same thing. We're going to work special plays. So if we see a reverse or a trick play they've ran in the past 2 or 3 years, we definitely want to be prepared for that. So this is exactly what I would want my offensive coordinator to fill out. Again, this is kind of mentioned in a previous clinic that I did for Coach Bandstra. You click on that link at the end of this. But our offensive coordinator would know that there's 4 times in a game that we're going to have a first down play call in the red zone, and I want him to have those ready for Wednesday's practice. There are 3 second down play calls. Statistically, you'll have a game in the red zone. We want 2 of those to be runs and the other to be a play action pass. We need to practice those when we get in the red zone for team. And then you're only going to get in a 3rd and 2 or less one time a game in the red zone. So everybody on Wednesday, when they leave practice, better know that what play we're going to do when we do that, okay? And so we're going to rep all of those kinds of plays, and then we'll even, while we're down there, might as well rep our 2-point conversion as well. And then Thursday is kind of the day that kind of takes maybe the longest as far as explaining to you guys, but it's a shorter kind of practice. Thursday is a mental day, but it's not a walkthrough. It's important you sell that, I think, to your players. And we're going to work a mock game on Thursday where it's 11-on-0, and we're sending guys in and out of the game and making sure that we don't have 10 guys on the field or 12 guys on the field or burn a timeout or anything like that. But on Thursdays, we are going to work that mock game, and this is the mock game down here that's always been kind of successful for me. We typically kick off to start the game. We're going to play defense, and we're going to have our punt return ready. Our offense will score in 3 plays, and then we'll go down and kick the extra point. And while we're down there, I know it doesn't quite make sense, but we'll just turn around and do extra point defense. And again, it doesn't make sense, but we're going to punt from our own 5, and wherever that ball lands, we're going to flip around and pooch punt the other direction. And then we're going to work KOR, hands team, 2-minute drill, 4-minute drill. And then we always in practice on Thursday taking a knee. I know that seems silly, but our kids kind of over the years understood that and kind of knew when practice would end. I think it's important that you time this mock game because kids are going to walk on and off the field. And we eventually got that idea from Findlay, a Division II school here in Ohio. And we eventually started timing that mock game for 15 minutes. And, everything we do in practice, we hope happens in a game. We hope that every single game we're going to take a knee. And we literally practiced that. One year we had a student manager that ran out on the field, and he was that guy that's deep on the knee, the taking the knee formation. Then we had a senior that busted his butt for 3 years, but hurt his knee. He couldn't play his senior year. And, he was able to go out there and play tight end, And so if you prepare for those moments, special things can happen. Because I know that kid's now, that was our team manager. He's like 20 years old now, and he talks about that all the time with me, how special of a moment that was for him. So plan for those things as you coach. So then I kind of want to briefly talk about the Thursday script that we would do for team. We would put the ball 90 yards away from our end zone, and we would try to defend the whole 90 yards. What I would ask our defensive coordinator to do is put the formation here, put the play here, and the defensive call there. Now, if we are going to be having our defensive end not scream down the line of scrimmage, obviously that quarterback's going to give a give read. And so, those things need to be scripted exactly how they should happen in a game. As a defensive coordinator, you should know if you're stacking the box, that ball should come out on an RPO. So the scout team coaches know exactly what to tell the quarterback and where to throw it. You need to put that on the call sheet. It might take you an extra 5 minutes, but it's important that what you practice is gonna happen in a game. Down here in the red zone, we're gonna scream that defensive end down because we got to stop the run. So obviously the quarterback should pull that ball, and so the scout team needs to be aware of those things, and you need to script for them as well. The offensive coach will do the exact same thing. Here it is. Here, the offense coach will do the exact same thing. Put the ball 90 yards away and work on going down the field and trying to score. You see that we put ourselves in 3rd and 4, 3rd and 6, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 3, 4th and 1. We try to put ourselves in all those situational football things that will happen on a Friday night and get the team to feel, substitutes coming in, personnel packages changing, and things like that. I'll skip over this because I talked about that in my previous topic. And my internet's messing up, but there we go. This is our offensive call sheet. So what you see over here in the red is what I talked about on Wednesday. And what you see over here is what we practice Monday in our openers and things like that. And so we go into a game using those kinds of call sheets. And then defensively, again, kind of talked about that in my last one. So defensively, I'll talk a little bit more about this. In this one, you see purple is all goal line stuff. Reds are blitzes. Greens are nickel packages and things like that. And we will, decide what fronts are best and what coverages are best for situations. And I know that Huddle provides us with a lot of that stuff, but I like to put it in certain columns like this so I can kind of see exactly what may happen and how it may happen. I've been in a situation where, 4th and 2, game on the line, and they're in this section of the field. We were able to tell our kids, well, it's week 9, we got film of all their 4th downs. They ran this play and that play. So, look for one of those. And they actually ran one of those, and we were able to stop them. So, those defensive call sheets are very important. On the flip side, we have those run pass percentages, the 2-point chart, all of our defensive calls, and then the clock management chart. I think that's important as well. Again, I hope that you're understanding the preparation that it takes to be able to go from June all the way to game day. And then our special teams coach should also have a call sheet. So maybe the left guard on kickoff return gets hurt, and we all know the answer. We should know the answer, who he's supposed to block. But when the clock is ticking on Friday night, it's good to have that written down. Hey, you blocked the third guy from the sideline or whatever it may be. You got some game notes over here where at midfield, we should watch for fake punts. Again, these should be adjusted week to week. But for this rivalry game, this is kind of what we had. They always punt inside their own 30. They do surprise onside once a game. So just little things like that, I think that you should be prepared for. So for zooming forward to essentially Friday, we're going to show like 20 minutes of film before we get on the bus. Unfortunately, where I coach, we always get on a bus, even if we play a home game. So it's good to have a routine and things like that and get kids to watch film right before they get on the bus. So some things that we'll show on Friday, or in this circumstance when we play this rivalry game on Thursday, is special situations, so 2-point plays, maybe some fake punts, their top run plays, what they do in these situations. So, we'll show all of their 4th down plays right before we get on that bus. They might only have 7 4th down plays in week 5. But our kids will get an idea of what they are. And then if there's that timeout with 1:30 to go, and hey guys, 3 hours ago we watched film with us, they're going to come out and do this, and hopefully we're ready for it. And then again, we always want to show red zone because that's where I believe the game is won and lost. And I'll kind of give you an idea of what we do for our kids, showing them film. Again, this is their week 1 opponent. So this is the 2-point play we may see, guys. They're going to run this kind of rollout pass concept, a waggle, if you will. And again, the quarterback's a very good athlete, so we got to be prepared for that if they go for 2. Again, when they run this trap read play and you're the defensive end, again, it's Friday. They should know this by now, but it's good to remind them. When you're this defensive end, you should keep your shoulder square and not let the quarterback get outside of you. Okay? If he gets outside of you, I know this was a 4-yard gain last year, but it could be a much bigger play this year. And then we'll remind them of things that we did throughout the week in practice, okay? They run the quarterback counter where they get 2 pullers. Okay, they scored on that the year before on us. So how did we defend this in practice all week? We did a really good job of playing that quarterback counter, and we were prepared for it all week long. Again, they won't have a 300-pound quarterback like Coach Derge, but you get the idea. Here was a situation in practice where, again, your scout team's not going to run it as well as the other team. But here was a situation in practice where they're zone read meshing, if you will, and our tackle obviously should come down on the dive, okay? But the mesh wasn't very good between quarterback and coach, or running back and coach, and he popped out on the coach, and so did the linebacker. So in a game, that isn't going to happen. Okay, so we're reminding our players of those things. This running back will split us for 6. We got to make sure if you're number 51 get yourself down on the dive. And then there I am pointing it out in practice. We got to make sure that our kids understand that before they get on the bus. We'd also remind them of checks. So, here's a check that we're going to use when they get into this formation. Again, I told you guys this on Monday. They like to run to the left, and they usually typically give it to that back. And this is what happened last year when we played them. Yeah, they got into that formation, and we were prepared for that situation. I'm a firm believer that players make plays and things like that, but I don't think a lot of this would happen if it wasn't for taking the time to prepare your players for all these kinds of situations. This kid right here was a great player for us. He's now playing at Ohio Dominican, but he was a 4.0 student and did an excellent job of knowing what was going to happen before it happened. And he did a great job of scraping to the D gap here on a 4th and inches and making the play on the back. And you see the excitement on the sidelines of all the coaches and the players on the field. Those things don't happen without preparation. And I hope that's what you're getting out of this. And that kid made a great play. Okay, so moving forward to the game, I'm going to try to show you some ideas that I had as the play caller and some adjustments that we made and things like that throughout the game. And this is more directed to the offensive side of the ball, since you kind of know the defensive game plan. This was the opening drive of the game, where we came out and no motion, no shift. We just want to be clean on our first play of the game. Nothing silly. By just running belly to the tight end side, giving one of our best players the ball behind one of our best blockers to hopefully one of their weakest defenders. Gets 5 yards on first down, 2nd and 6. Jet sweep. That gets another 5 yards. So 3rd and 1. We're ready for that situation. We typically give belly or power in those situations. Nothing fancy, but we do pick up the first down. And this is, we practiced all of these situations on Thursday when we ran our openers. So what we do on Thursday, we want to almost identically replicate that on Thursday or Friday night when we play. Here's a gut where we fake jet and we try to hit them inside and influence them a little bit. Got 3 yards, 2nd and 7. Now this was something that we had prepared for literally since June. We had never shown this 4-man unbalance with the wing ever in the history of me being the offensive play caller. Again, we play these guys week 2. Rewind back to the history. We haven't beat them 5 of the last 7 years. They beat us. So, we had to come up with some kind of wrinkle to them. And we thought this would be good for us. And obviously there on 2nd and 7, it wasn't. The running back didn't hit the right gap. So we had a lot of faith, at least I had a lot of faith in calling that play, the exact same play the next play. Here we are running the exact same play after reminding the kid to hit it a gap wider, and he did a great job. I know he's going to watch this later, of getting 8 yards. After we get our second first down, I'm a guy that loves to use tempo. So here we are, snapping the ball pretty quick. The chains aren't set. We're able to get to the outside with a jet sweep. 24-yard gain. Again, everything that we practice is going great. Other than that kind of 1 yard gain, the script that we practiced on Thursday has showed up in the game. And now when we get into the red zone, hopefully what we worked on Wednesday will show up here. Again, here we are shifting and trading, running that same exact play, the buck sweep to the 4-man surface, and getting a nice chunk, 10 yards there. I did edit out a quarterback sneak there on 2nd and 1, because nobody wants to watch these things and watch quarterback sneaks. But here we are with another jet sweep to the boundary, getting down to the 6-yard line, and then again, red zone, and obviously what's working. We're going back to that buck sweep and doing a great job of gap scheming them down and kicking out and getting into the end zone. All of those things, again, don't happen without repping it in practice. Here we are running the power in practice, and we ran some buck sweeps as well. But what you see on Friday night is exactly what we practiced there on Wednesday for that red zone period. Here we are running that first play of the game, where we're going double insert with the halfbacks, no motion, no secrets to it, and just coming right off the ball. Now I want to talk a little bit about halftime. This is something that I think that, offensive coaches go their separate way, defensive coaches go their separate way, and I think that the head coach should have some kind of procedure for how halftime should work. Obviously, the first half's over, so we're not really focused on that. Second half reminders. It's important that all coaches know that we're going to use timeouts to save time in the second half. Those timeouts will not be used to give our defense a rest. We got to use those timeouts so we have them late in the game and things like that. The score and the clock will dictate all fourth down decisions by the head coach. Sometimes the decisions in the first half aren't dictated on the score or just basically on the game plan that you wanted to do going into the game. But if we're up by 2 scores and it's 4th and 4 and the ball's on the 50 and our defense is playing well, that score and that clock will dictate that fourth down decision. So it's good that just communicate about those things. And then the offensive coordinator should know what flow he should be in for a 2 or a 4-minute drive. You have overtime reminders here if you need them, because overtime happens and you forget about them. But you want to know how many timeouts you have, things like that. And in our halftime things that we talk about as a coaching staff, obviously what's our injury situation and our game plans working. Offensive coaches and defensive coaches will eventually go their separate ways and make the adjustments that are needed. But we also want to talk about how our rotations are going. At the school I coach at, a lot of the guys go both ways. And it's important that we talk about, hey, that sophomore that we used a lot in that first half, he's really not doing a great job of getting to the bubble screen as the nickel safety or whatever. But maybe we should just play a little bit more base with our senior and just see how that goes. Or maybe that defensive lineman isn't getting it done, so we want to change up our rotation for the second half. How do we want to start the second half? There's been times where you're up 35-0. How do we want to start the second half? Well, we want to send our starters out there. And then from there, I'll let you guys know what we want to do. But we know it's important we talk about those things. You might be down 21.5. But how do we want to come out in the second half, and what flow do we want to be in? Obviously, it's important to have that 2-point chart there on the right and chart how deep their kicks goes at as the game goes. So the adjustments we made at halftime, we'll kind of go through those quickly, and then I'll pretty much be done. But we really, at halftime, talked about going to the belly series a lot more offensively. We knew that they were shading their nose guard, you see here, to our tight end side. So we felt like we had a little bit of a bubble to the wide receiver side. And we wanted to hit him with belly in a variety of different ways, and I'll kind of show you that as we go through this. Here's a no-motion belly where we're just feigning the front inside zone, if you will. And the running back has great vision, great speed, 2 things you can't really coach. And he ends up scoring on this play. Again, if you want to have another laugh, look at this coach down here. He's excited, running on the field, pumped about Thursday Night Lights, and there's the referee throwing the flag up there. But he had to run on Monday for that. But those things kind of happen, and coaches should be excited, and it is what it is. So we went no motion there. Later in the second half when it got darker and all those good things, we wanted to run belly the same way, but just use jet motion for eye candy. Obviously, just a 6-yard gain there. But, just different ways we wanted to run belly. Now I've got the wingback positioned, not here. I put him over there. So we've got 3 backs to the same side. We're going to run a different way without motion. And we really felt like we had a bubble over there. And our kid made a couple cuts and ran away from a couple people and did a nice job of finding the end zone. On top of our belly, we wanted to open up the belly. We have to run belly pass and belly option. So here we are running belly option with a jet fake, faking the belly, and pitching it out to the perimeter. That really set up our belly play that we broke later in what you just saw there in that clip. The belly pass is what we had to work on as well. This isn't the greatest of clips, but our quarterback does a good job of faking belly, faking jet, and he ends up hitting the tight end here. And here's another clip of that. Again, faking jet, faking belly. And he's got a high-low the corner here, and he ends up making a good decision to take off and run. Conserve some time there. We also felt that we had a really good quarterback, and we wanted to get him in some one-on-one situations. So to kind of start the second half, clip 74 here, if you will, we wanted to get all their defensive backs, number 9, number 22, number 14. All those guys were in the boundary, defending our formation, which we knew they would do. It's a rivalry game, so there's no secrets. But just as the zone read teams like to get to the perimeter one-on-one with their quarterback, we wanted our quarterback to do the same thing here. We blocked buck sweep. Quarterback is one-on-one with their outside linebacker, and that's just a matchup that we like. No disrespect to any other player that we've coached against or things like that. But this is a matchup that we like. So we kind of went to that play later on, early on in the first drive of the second half. Again, I'm going to start this from the beginning. Watch the movement by just the trades and the shifts that we do. That makes their 3 DBs come over to the 4-man surface side. And then this defensive end, he's wearing number 64. We like that matchup with him versus our quarterback, and he chased the ball. And our quarterback was able to break a good run here. Here's number 68 leading for him if necessary. But those are some of the halftime adjustments that we made. We went to the belly, and we went to the sweep naked, if you will. This is just a picture that I love. I got from one of the newspapers of that game, and it's just a fundamental picture of what the wing tee is. We want to hide that football, and it sells how well our players did that. The quarterback's really looking at number 25, how he has the ball, and he's hiding the ball from the defense, and that's why he's able to break a big run. And then this one was shared with me as well. That's him celebrating with number 68. And those moments don't happen without the preparation through the week and the summer. And then, our defense played really well that night. We surrounded the football. One of my favorite pictures there of how we just gang tackled, and our guys were able to overcome a lot of adversity in that game and come out with the win. And we were able to have this be the final product after losing 5 of the last 7 years. We were able to really dominate in that game and flip the script, if you will, in that rivalry. And for the next 3 seasons, we were able to beat that team. In closing, I hope the main thing you got out of this is that preparation is key, and that you make sure you prep for your rivalry game somehow, some way. There can be arguments that, hey, your team was just really good that year. Maybe their team wasn't having such a great year. Those arguments can be made, but I'm not here to debate that. I'm simply here to say, I think as coaches, we make a big difference in how we prepare for our rivalry games and for our games. As coaches, as we sit through this COVID situation, we can all prepare in silence. We spend an hour a day preparing for our opponents. If you got 10 days, you spend an hour every single night preparing for one opponent, and just spending a little bit more time because our kids really deserve, when we play football again, they really deserve for us as coaches to be prepared. So I'm going to challenge myself and maybe you. And every single morning I'm working out 7 in the morning, and then every single night from 9 to 10 p.m. I'm working on football. Prepare yourself in silence because you're going to need to be ready to go later in the year. Again, I want to say thanks to Coach Bandstra for having me a second time back. Again, he's going to put a link on this slide right here that you can go to my other topic that I talked about, preparing an offensive call sheet, things like that. And then if you want to reach out to me anytime, I put my Twitter handle. There it is there. The first time I did this, I had a couple coaches that I Zoomed with. I'd love to do that. Just love talking about football, love making a difference in kids' lives, and I'm excited about next year, even though we're going through some tough times now. Thanks so much.